Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for showing up, knowing that I'm going to be asking for some volunteers to share their tasks and homework. So a little bit of a recap before we get started. Last time we talked about the difference between auto flow versus live flow. We touched base on examples. We talked about, also implementing a flow chart with regards to how many touches per month, how many touches and what type of touches. And then we also talked about what are the top live flow scenarios that would be the most effective. Anybody remember what the top 6 live flow were? Well, let me start off. Face-to-face is the most important, right? So again, keep that in mind. Face-to-face is the most powerful when it comes to live flow. And then voice-to-voice, okay? And then text, and then regular mail, and then email, social media. And again, I find it very fascinating that, everybody says, well, regular mail doesn't work. Well, depending on how you do it, and we discussed that last week a little bit about using postcards instead of just address mail. Lots of times, if you actually want to get them to open your mail, do it in such a way that it looks like an invitation. Okay, I don't know too many people that throw out an invitation to a wedding or something like that as if they think it's junk mail. They always open it. Okay, and then number 5 was email, social media, and the last one, the least powerful, was advertising. And again, it gets into this is live flow. This is interactive. Advertising is very limited interaction, right? Mm-hmm. So in person is always best, face to face. And the reason that's the best is because you're not just there to listen to them. You want to see their body language. You really want to see their facial expressions, and all of that fits in to building that relationship, understanding them better. Okay. So then we had the task of going through that and setting up your flow chart for looking at a minimum of, how many did they say per month? How many touches per month?
50 for the top producers.
That is your conversations. But the actual auto flow in auto flow per month. 3 was the number, right? Where, we always talk about, well, maybe 1, you set it up with auto email, monthly newsletter kind of thing. Totally now, way more interaction. Okay. And so we are going to touch base on, one of the tasks was to set up that flow chart of looking at, for the year, what are those 3 auto flows going to be in your calendar, because they can be all set up. That's why it's called auto flow. Okay. And then we had another task of doing nothing different than what the normal way you do your real estate, but tracking how many people you actually have a conversation with, where you are utilizing the verbiage of the Ford questions. How did that task go? What challenges did you have with that?
I'll start. I called up a friend that I haven't spoken to in, my goodness, a long time. I've known him since high school, so it's been a long time that I haven't spoken to him. And I figured, okay, the challenge I'm going to do is I'm going to ask all of these questions. I'm going to go through the whole Ford because I haven't seen him in a long time. So yeah. I'm going to go through all of them. And yeah, we had a great 1-hour conversation about his family, what he's doing, all that kind of stuff. And it was amazing to have a great conversation. And of course, I inserted, the real estate and if he's thinking about selling. And or does he know anybody? And it was a great 1 hour conversation of just catching up and talking
Good.
about business. And yeah, it was great.
Okay. So the task was to track how many conversations that you have in a week. And based on the survey that was done, they basically said 50 conversations within a week. And they don't have to do anything with real estate as long as you are implementing some of those Ford questions. Did anybody track on actually how many conversations you were having? Yeah, Elizabeth.
I did. I wasn't able to make it last week, but I watched the replay like a good
Oh,
student.
great thing.
Um, I tracked it. I was happily surprised when I saw you say 50. I was like, absolutely not. But I did 40 last week, and that was without
Excellent.
right.
Right.
Going to yoga classes and talking with people there. Now that I have bangs, I have to go to the hairdresser more often, and I love the staff there. We're getting into conversations, neighborhood events, that kind of stuff.
Super. Well done. And how did you find the conversations? Were they difficult?
No, that's just how I am anyway.
Right.
Mhm.
Right? Because you're not there, and a lot of realtors get caught up with the fact that they think they always have to be talking about real estate. You know, how am I going to get these people to buy and sell real estate? That is not what this is about. Okay. Great. Anybody else want to share a bit on how many conversations that you had?
I would, Scott. I also had a challenge that I'd like to kind of talk about. I was surprised I only had 25 throughout the week. I thought I had more interactions with people on average.
Okay.
And I mean, things came natural when you talk about family and occupation and recreation, but I struggled with dream. Can someone kind of give me some ideas on that?
Absolutely. I guess the easiest one would be, as you're talking, you say, if you were going to do something with your family or on your own, and you had the opportunity of doing it, what would that be? Is it a trip? Would you want to go to a sporting event? That's how I would ask the question. Because they're going to come back and say, it's funny because, we were always thinking, we'd like to go to a FIFA soccer game. Oh, that's cool. And that's all you're asking, right? You're just trying to find out what is it that they would like to do. So it's as simple as when you're having when you're hearing conversations about it, and if they have kids and you say, hey, have you ever thought where would the kids like to go? That's how right? So you basically want to try and look at something, and you're not trying to, okay, what is your goal for your dreams? It's just a conversation about, what is it that you would, if you had the opportunity of doing something really special, really unique, what would it be?
Similar to what Elizabeth put in the chat there.
Oh, what's that say?
Asking about big plans or bucket list trips.
Bucket
Yep.
list. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bucket list is always, an easy, everybody's got a bucket list.
Yeah,
Any
that's
other
great.
comments? Right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. Anybody else track? And Nancy? Anita, come on. You're on mute, Anita.
No, she's not.
No, no, you're not. Don't know what's going
Nope,
on.
that didn't work.
Wow. It's gotta be something in her audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
She's
log
gonna go
off.
out. She's gonna go back in. I love that we could all play charades.
All right, Nancy, go ahead. Where'd she go? Oh,
I actually only spoke with 33 people, and I actually wrote down every time I was out, I wrote down where I talked to them.
yeah.
So that's it's low, but it's winter.
Okay. Well, first of all, 33 for you is amazing because when we actually talked about doing this last week, you grimaced and thought, there's nobody here to talk to.
Not even 50 people
Then
in the town.
So that's a great number. And where would be the top place that you had a lot of those conversations?
Foodland.
Okay, perfect, right?
The post
That's great.
office, the dump,
Yeah.
the hardware store. I literally wrote it all down when I came home.
And so looking at that, looking at this task that you did, what did you find were the challenges? What challenges did you come across?
I don't want to be rude, but none.
Okay.
Like I don't
good.
find it I don't
Okay.
find it challenging talking to people. Like it just does not bother me.
A lot of times the biggest challenge is the first question, right? That's the challenge, is sometimes just getting that first question, because then it flows. So I've heard that as being a challenge. Anita, are you able to chat now, or you got audio?
I think so.
There she is.
Yay!
Last week I wasn't here in face, but I brushed my hair today, so I'm here.
Okay.
I did listen to everything we talked about last week. So I had a big week last week. We did a charity bond spiel. So I interacted with probably close to 100 people over the week that I tracked, that I was able to like
Yeah.
talk to.
Fabulous.
Then I also, it's kind of sneaky, but I use my email to communicate with people, and my email is branded, right?
Yeah.
So everybody who gets an email knows I'm a realtor. It's
Wonderful.
a
Good
sneaky
job.
way. And then at the bond spiel, I had 2 people come up to me and ask about selling or buying properties in the next 12 months.
Super.
It worked.
Excellent. Yeah.
But I will keep track
here,
of that moving on. I
Yeah.
liked that idea of being able to go I just did little tick boxes, right? I didn't make it really rock star crazy. I did tick boxes.
Doesn't have to be complicated. It's
Right.
just, if you have a target on conversations, then what happens is you've got to write down the target. Your subconscious then starts looking and seeing that, make sure it's visible so you can see what your target is. And then when you're out and about, all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, I got to start a conversation. And it doesn't have to be anything about real estate, right? It's just conversations and being able to utilize some of those forward questions. Okay. Well, that's great. Super job. Now, when we also looked at tracking and going into establishing a auto flow chart for looking at what items you would put in there. One could be a monthly newsletter. We talked about monthly stats. Did anybody actually go in and set up your calendar for at least the next 6 months on what that auto flow would look like? And do you want to talk about that? Okay, this is where you get the red, the big star or not.
I think me and Herbert got a calendar in our room,
Okay,
and he filled it out for I don't know how many months.
okay. So you guys figured out, you got your calendar up on the wall, you've set up, I'm going to do, 3 a month. Have you sort of looked at what those 3 would be per month?
So what we're gonna do is today we're gonna be working out, okay, Thursday is gonna be an e-newsletter. The following Thursday is gonna be an actual, paper newsletter that we're gonna give to doors. We're gonna break it down to realistic things that we can actually do and want to do, and not, okay, we're gonna do 5 this and we're gonna do 10 of this.
No,
It doesn't work.
no.
We're gonna be very specific and very pinpoint to it, so that way it's easy to follow and it's just gonna be a regular thing.
Super.
And we're tracking it.
Right.
So that way it's like, did we do it? Great, we did it.
And that's where the 3, and you want to make sure that you try to personalize at least one of them out of the 3 to that individual. So your monthly newsletter can be pretty generic, right? Market stats can be generic, but you could also then go into more information and get some market stats for that individual in the area they're in, and that becomes a little bit more personable. Okay, good. Okay, anybody else work on that chart?
I'll
And the
I'll chip
task-
in here. I'll
All right.
chip in here. I already do some of this stuff automatically, so I had to review exactly what am I doing when, just to confirm that things were going right. So
Right.
I have a social media lady who does I call it a static post. Sorry, my dog was barking in the background. A static post every Wednesday. My new thing is Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, and Threads post almost every day now.
Okay.
And YouTube long videos. Every 2 weeks, I put out a long video now, which is new to me. Those have been going since mid-December, and they're getting traction. I've already had 2 calls from those videos, so they're starting to get some
Fabulous.
traction.
Good.
But
Good.
I also do the Prime Agent newsletter monthly, just coldly, just to remind them I'm still out there, and that's a generic
Right.
newsletter.
And the reason this exercise is there is exactly what Elroy was saying. It's like he knows he does it, but now you know when it's actually being done, and you're now looking at it going, okay, I know this is coming up. What are my topics going to be? What are my subjects going to be? How can I personalize each? And you got to look at each person that's receiving this, and how can I at least personalize one of those three? Okay. And then you look at that and categorize it and put it in. So it's a task that gets done. And you actually then track it. Because 6 months from now, you're going to be able to go back and go, okay, what did I put out? What did I get a response on? Okay. Was my newsletter getting any response at all? If not, then what do you got to do? You got to tweak it. Okay. So the whole idea of tracking this is you want to see what engagement you're getting from what you're doing, what tasks you're actually sending out. Okay, good. Any other thoughts, suggestions? Anybody have any aha moments while you were doing these sort of things that you want to share? Nancy, yours was you talked to more people than you thought you were going to.
Yeah, I did.
Right?
I mean, if the weather was a little more friendly, I probably would have talked to double that.
Right. So that's great. So now you just gotta keep on tracking, right? Because this is what you're doing. You're building that flow. You're building the interactions. And also keep in mind that you don't always have to be new people. You can talk to the same people weekly. Because what you're building is that relationship. You're building that where they're seeing and hearing from you. Okay. And all you're really doing is trying to build top of mind. So when real estate, or if all of a sudden they go start thinking about doing something, you're already in that flow with them because they're getting repetitive stuff from you. They're seeing valuable information. They're hearing your voice. They're seeing your picture. Okay. Anybody else have an aha moment on? Okay. One of the other aha moments when I've done this before is how easy it actually is. The fear of talking to people, which is crazy considering you're all realtors, is amazing. Lots of realtors would rather send out an email or a text than actually face somebody face to face and have a conversation. Right? So this is where this task of doing this, and now imagine just doing more of it. Okay. But that is one of the things that comes out of doing this type of task, is that it's not as difficult as everybody thinks it is. It's natural, and as you do more of it, it's just natural, right? It flows, and then you just keep adding people to your flow chart. You keep adding people to the database, and you keep doing those things. And all of a sudden you're having natural conversations, natural communication. And it may not be today, tomorrow, or the next day. It could be a year from now. All of a sudden you're going to get, oh, you know what? we got a referral for you, or we got to sell one of our properties, or we're thinking of moving, and you're going to go, oh, geez, I really haven't talked to them about real estate yet. You've been in flow with them. Okay, make sense? Yeah.
Add something to it. So on Messenger, sometimes I'll just say hello to people.
Okay, so you're doing a
Correspondence.
direct message to
Yeah.
them. Okay.
And it could be weather related, you know, that we had bad weather. So I said, I hope you guys are doing well. Nothing to do with real estate.
Yep.
One of the couple is going to rent a condo from, hopefully list with me with Milton within the next month or so. And then that one of the clients I told you about Victoria Park, in Scarborough, I'm listing a house in December. I've been doing this even earlier on Messenger. And this lady was my client, her son's my client, and her ex-husband's my client. So she said my sister is planning to sell, but she has to buy my mom's house, which I've been telling her. Remember, they did a private deal for the house. So the house has to be listed now with me, her house, current house. So that was through just Messenger.
Just doing a generic text, message.
Nothing to do with real estate.
Yep.
Right? Just, how are you doing? Or
Yeah.
happy Friday, something
Right.
like that.
And that's a great point, because you keep in communication with them.
She remembered me more.
They know you're in real estate, right? But if you only did that once a year,
No, that's too little.
you're
People forget.
you're better off not to do anything.
It's insincere. Yeah.
Well, and the issue is that, we used to be, we thought 26 times, right? 26 times a year was going to be able to keep you top of mind. But because of how many messages they get through social media, how many emails they get, that has to be upped. And that's why doing what we're doing is really designed to build that relationship so you're consistently there. Okay. One of the things to keep in mind, and I had one of my clients say to me, look, Scott, you don't need to send me your newsletter. Don't worry about save the stamp. Don't send me your newsletter. Just email me the other one. And I'm going, as soon as you tell me that you want me to stop, I know you're getting it. So to me, it's like, I'm not stopping this. Forget it. I want them to be able to open the envelope and see my face.
But
Right.
indirectly, they want to unsubscribe.
But-
Physical items too, right?
Yeah.
So
but-
if they tell you that, you still continue?
Yeah, I still continue. Because they said, no, he didn't say unsubscribe. He
They
just
still
said,
want to receive it.
Yeah.
They're just saying
just
like,
save
save
Save your
the
stamp.
stamp. I don't
That's
need,
all, and I don't think
physical
so.
one. I can just.
So don't think that and that's why as we talked about, doing the different items is important, because you don't know which one they're going to engage with. Right? So really important, one of the things that came out last week, he said, if you're going to do any mailers, and a majority of the communities now have these super boxes, do it as a postcard, right? So they see your logo, see your face. Even if they don't read it, but they keep getting it, all of a sudden, the 1 month the one time they get it, it's like, oh, geez, you know what? Great. Yeah. Right, I know that. I see this person all the time. Okay. Oh, sorry, who has a question? Yeah, Anita.
I don't know if you remember, Scott, we did those postcards eons ago, and they were it was through Realty Executives Prime Agent that we got the images, and it was like, hey, are you moving to a new pad? And it was a frog on a lily pad, and there was the flamingo looking for a house, and they were really cute on the front, and then the back was your image and just like your call to action. But we got great pickup from those because they were really cute. And yeah, sure, they're going to look at them and they're going to go in the garbage, but they got that look, right? And they're cute because it was a cute picture. So people they liked it. We actually saw some people on their fridges when we went to their house because they liked the image. It was cute.
Was that the one we did through Executive Edge? Way
Yes.
back then through Prime?
Yeah, way back
Executive
when.
Edge?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a cute image on the front. It wasn't like a call. It was just like,
Yeah.
hey, I can just remember the frog one, looking for a new pad. And it was a cute frog, bright green on
Yeah.
a lily pad, really nice looking picture. So
All right.
people looked at it and they're like, what the heck? Right. And
Yeah. All right, we'll investigate and see what else we've got, because they may still have some of that in the archives.
Mhm.
So we'll check, because personally, I like I've had more, when it's a fun item that's just not in your face, do you want to buy or sell? Right?
They get all the-
People will, yeah. People will they'll actually enjoy it and have a little bit longer glance. So thank you for reminding us of those. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else have any thoughts on what the tasks were during the week? Okay. Out of doing those conversations, out of looking at the tasks, were you able to add anybody to your database? Just organically? Because I know, Anita, you said you followed up with an email. Well, technically, you've added some people to your database.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Elroy, you were saying you picked up 2 really good engagements there from people inquiring.
Yeah, there's 2 for sure. There may be a third one yet. We'll see where the conversations keep going.
Yeah, but now you've got people that have opted in, right? And all you're trying to do with all of this is, one, keep in mind, you want to build your database, because that's your lifeline. That's it, right? And then 2 is, once they're in that database, how do you keep in flow with them? And that's what this task was that we did. So really important to make sure that you finish off doing your calendar of events, making sure that you've got in there the auto flow, and really focus on doing your live flow weekly. Okay. Just track how many people it is. Sometimes it'll be lower, sometimes it'll be higher, but really important that you track it, because then you're going to be out somewhere and you go, right, wait a minute, I got to talk to somebody, versus just quickly doing something. Like, really, really important. Okay. Any major challenges that you have? Oh yeah, Julia?
I was at an event, so I talked to a lot of people at this event, and one of them came up to me and said, I always see your listings on Facebook that you post, which is City Blast. It's that automatic feed of other listings. So I've been kind of thinking, am I really getting any value out of it? But it's nice that he walked up and said, I see all your listings hitting Facebook all the time. So I felt that was a good moment for me. But
That's a great moment. Now, what you need to do is, that particular person, now you need to make sure they're in that auto flow 3 times a month. And how do you do that? Right?
yeah, he lives out of town, but he knows lots of people here, so he's easy to reach out to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is City Blast?
City Blast is a company that you subscribe to. I think Realty Executives has a special price with them, so you pay kind of twice a year, and you can load your listings into City Blast, and then other realtors who subscribe can't share them on their social media. And so if I don't have any listings, their listings are also shared. They also do kind of real estate tips. You can kind of decide what you want to post. Sometimes it's like house tips or just good to knows. I usually choose the listings more often than some of the house tips, but it just automatically flows to your business page. And then to put it on your personal page, you have to share it. But it goes to Twitter, it goes to LinkedIn, and I think it goes to Instagram. This is new. I've been asking them to share on Instagram too, but it's a harder platform. But I get listings twice a month, twice a week shared on my Facebook from them. And then they share mine. And you can track how many people have shared your listings. So anyway.
Thank you.
Again, it's an auto tool, which is great. Again, you want to look at, looking at ways that you can implement, and that's why it's called auto flow, right? So let's utilize some tools. So, and that's the important part, right? But what's the first step is setting up that calendar of tasks. So then you can go through, just like the guys here are doing, is they're now going through is, okay, we're scheduling it. Same with Elroy, schedules it, know when it's got to go out, and you can pre-plan those, right? So really important to do that. So everybody found at least this week of tasks got you thinking about how to do this, and obviously got some of you engaged in doing it. You've got to keep up and keep doing again, the auto is great. Set it, make sure you personalize it, but the real magic is that live flow. Okay. So keep tracking those conversations. Keep tracking how many people you're adding to the data. Keep looking at how you can personalize individual messages, even in that auto flow. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we move on to our next new task?
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my gosh, it feels like we're on Survivor.
Yeah. Well, basically it is Survivor.
Well,
You wanna
it kind of
survive?
is.
Got to do these tasks. Okay. Has anybody ever heard of the power of 8 in 8?
Never heard of it.
The number 8.
Not ATE. Number 8 in 8. Okay.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for laughing and understanding my Gen Z reference.
I understand. Period.
Okay, I am going to just go through some of go through this. Again, using the ninja selling, okay? To demonstrate the power of flow, Bob's Herder marketing firm did a research study on the neighborhood in Southern California. They surveyed homeowners by phone and asked one question. If you were to sell your home, what realtor would you call? They then recorded the responses and rank ordered the realtors based on this top of mind awareness. Next, they began mailing into this neighborhood one piece of mail each week for 8 weeks, 8 and 8, to the residents of this neighborhood. The mail was something that would be perceived as valuable by the homeowners, and it was sent from a fictitious realtor. This realtor did not exist. Hobbs Herder created the face, name, and the company. After the 8 weeks of mailing, they conducted the same phone survey a second time, asking the same question. Now, which realtor do you think was the most mentioned? The fictitious realtor was the top ranked realtor. Okay.
Lucky him.
Right? So really, what was interesting is the top ranked realtor from the first survey was sometimes still mentioned, but the most mentioned realtor was the made up one. This study demonstrates once again the power of flow. Again, thinking about seeing something, and then all of a sudden your subconscious goes, oh, wait a minute, that's something I'm interested in, right? So after hearing about the 8 and 8 study, I was eager to try it out. About a week later, I was at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast where I met a young man named Greg. We were seated at the same round table, and I introduced myself by asking Greg the 4 questions. I discovered Greg was new in town, having moved here from California. He was married with 2 young boys, one of whom was 10 years old, same age as our son, and a soccer player, same as our son. Since we had this in common, we talked about the boys and the soccer for a bit. I asked him if he had purchased a home yet. He said they had bought a home in the Village West, a great family neighborhood with a community pool. I asked if he had used a realtor. He said he did, mentioned the realtor's name and company, and proceeded to give a glowing testimonial of her service. I recognized the name, but did not know the realtor personally. When I asked what brought you to Fort Collins, he basically said, my company brought me here to build this division. We talked for a while about his company and his work, and then the meeting started. Afterward, we exchanged business cards, and I said to myself, I'm going to do an 8-on-8, an 8-in-8 with Greg, and just see what happens, see if this works. Week 1, I sent a personal note. Hi, Greg, great to meet you. Welcome to Fort Collins. Hope to see you on the sidelines at a soccer game soon. Best regards, Larry. Week 2, I sent Greg a city map with all the new streets on it and a personal note. Greg, I thought you would like a new map for your new city. Again, welcome to Fort Collins. Hope to see you soon. All the best, Larry. Week 3, I sent a high altitude baking book written by my wife, Pat, who is a professor of nutrition at Colorado State University. With it, I sent a note that read, hi, Greg, I was just thinking of you and Suzanne. Thought you might be able to use this. Shows you how to bake at 5,000 feet. Welcome to Colorado. Larry. Week 4, this week I sent Greg a newsletter from, and their office is called the Group Realty. Hi, Greg, I thought you might like a copy of our newsletter. It's full of information on the local real estate market. If you don't want to receive this, please let me know. All the best, Larry. Week 5, I sent a brochure on how property taxes work in the county. Greg, I was just thinking of you and thought you would like to see how property taxes work here. You'll be getting a property tax notice soon. This brochure will help explain it. Call me if you have any questions. Larry. Week 6, I sent Greg a summary of home sales in the Village West for the past 12 months with a personal note. Hi, Greg, when you get your tax notice, if you want to protest your taxes, you'll need this information. Let me know if you need any help. All the best, Larry. Week 7. When I got to week 7, I made a phone call. I'll never forget Greg's first response when I called him. My wife, Susan, wants to meet you. She wants to meet this guy who is sending us all this good stuff. Well, I would like to meet Suzanne too, and the boys as well. In fact, the purpose of my call is to invite you to lunch. I felt we had a great connection at the chamber breakfast, and I'd like to get to know you better. Week 8, we set up lunch. We were sitting in the Italian restaurant talking about boys, soccer, family, adjusting to the town. And I basically said, how's business? Greg said, well, we are really busy right now. We just bought a small company in Anaheim and need to move 47 people to Fort Collins. Larry goes, do you need any help with that move? What do you mean help? Do you need maps, relocation kits, information on Fort Collins, job opportunities for spouses, and so on? Greg goes, I never even thought about that. I don't know where to begin. I'm brand new here. I can help put all that together. After a brief discussion of what we needed to gather for Greg, he asked a question. Larry, I know this is a lot to ask, but would you be considering going to me to Anaheim to help me do a presentation in the plant? I'll talk about their jobs and you can talk about Fort Collins community. Together, I think we have a good chance of convincing them to make the move. All of that because of one conversation and putting in 8-in-8 personalized, not generic. Some of the information was generic, but personalized communication. What do you think happened?
Or whatever people coming over.
43 of 47 eligible employees for this corporate move chose to come to Fort Collins. We helped them find housing. Later, we met with Greg. We went to Buffalo, New York, to Chicago, where we had brought they bought small companies and needed to move. In that first year, we moved 120 employees. All because of 8-in-8. So I guess the question is, are you doing any of that? When you meet somebody, are you doing any of that? Okay, so the thing to look at is personalized sincere communication will go way further than anything.
And I think being sincere about it is one of the important things, because as you were reading that, there was a comment like, oh, that's a little bit stalkerish if they're sending that much information. But the idea is that you've had a conversation with these people. They are interested in, like, it's like building a new friendship, right? Which is not something a lot of people do in their adult life. But building those new friendships means reaching out, trying to pass an olive branch. And that's what this is, but with the sincere intention of just helping people, not trying to get a deal.
Well, and in the beginning, he already knew he just bought.
Yeah.
So where do you think a deal's coming from?
Yeah.
It's not. You don't. But it's building that flow, building that, into your database of, you'd rather have less numbers that you're in flow with than a high number of database that you do not communicate a lot with.
Mhm.
You'll get more business with less numbers when you're in flow with them than you will with having higher numbers in your database with no flow. Okay, so here is interesting. A national survey found that only 18% of realtors follow up with live phone or face-to-face communication after a closing. 18%. Lots will do a newsletter or an email campaign or an auto drip thing. Only 18% will actually do live communication. Don't be one of those 18%, because you will lose business to somebody that's going to be in flow with your database or in flow with your client. And you're going to be one of those ones go, wait a minute, they were my people. What happened? Okay. Live flow is, the most important. Okay. Okay. Any ideas on how to put 8 into 8 to work into your business? Any thoughts? I have the answers, but any thoughts? No? If you today said, okay, I'm going to implement 8 and 8, what would be the first thing you should be doing?
I'd just like to try it once. And then I think after you try it once, it will start coming natural.
Okay, good point. Who would be the best people to do it with?
New clients?
New clients, okay.
Even existing.
What about your existing database?
Yep.
Or the
Okay,
people
well, here are the
we
answers.
this last week.
Yeah. Okay. So here you go. 5 ways to use 8 and 8 to build your business. Number 1, build a new relationship. Okay, so just as Kathy said, use 8 and 8 to build a new relationship, just as I did with Greg. When I meet a key person, it doesn't mean everybody, okay? When I meet a key person who is in a position of leadership and influence, I always do an 8 and 8 with them. Interesting, not everybody, right? Key people that they, based on that first conversation, they may have influence of some type. Okay. Rebrand yourself. If you are new in real estate, or if you have recently switched companies, your friends and customers are still thinking of you in your old profession or your old company. You need to rebrand yourself at your new profession or your new company. 8 and 8 will do just that. We recommend that all new people who join our company do an 8 and 8 with their database. Okay. Number 3, rejuvenate a stale database. Are there people in your database whom you haven't talked with in years? Would you like to reconnect with them, but feel it would be awkward to just call them up after all these years? Start them on an 8 and 8 first, and then call annual refresher. Many of the top selling ninjas do an annual 8 in 8 with their database just to keep it fresh. And they spread it out over the year. They don't do them all at once. Okay. Geographical farming. Obviously, the 8 in 8 system was first perfected for geographical farming. Working in neighborhood as a ninja, we recommend you put your time and energy into people who you know first versus strangers. The 8 in 8 is a good way to introduce your name to strangers in a geographical farm. However, to be the most effective, you need to actually meet the people in the farm face to face and start building a relationship. Okay. After the initial burst of 8 in 8, put your new potential customers into the normal 3 per month auto flow program. So 8 in 8, and then switch them to the auto 3 per month flow. Okay. Any questions, thoughts? Is this another one that's going to scare your pants off? You're going to go, I don't want to do this. Okay. So here's how to set it up. Here's the logistics of it. Simply create 6 flow items. Okay. A combination of art and science to send once a week. Remember, we talked about that, right? And that'll be in, was that last week or the week before we talked about that session? Okay. The difference between the art and the science of what you're sending.
Yep, that was last week.
Okay. So create 6. Your 7th week will be a phone call. And your 8th week will be a face-to-face meeting, lunch, breakfast, coffee. If you are doing 8 in 8 with a large database, stagger your mailings so that you start about 5 new people each week. Okay. That way, on the 7th week, you only have to call 5 people. And on the 8th week, you only have to have 5 meetings. Okay. Now, if you imagine if you're doing 200 and you did them all at once, you'd have 200 lunches one week. Or 200 coffees one week, right? So that's why spread it out. Don't overwhelm this. And again, as Kathy mentioned, maybe you just want to start with 1, right? 1 or 2. But do you see how this ties in with auto flow, live flow, your conversations, and now you're doing 8 in 8. And then what you're doing is, in some cases with the old database, you're just rejuvenating it, right? Because if you're not in flow with them, somebody else is. Okay. Has anybody done anything like this, 8 in 8? Okay. So between now and when, we're not here next week because we're at a conference. So between now and 2 weeks, or 2 weeks from now, okay, can the task would be 1, make sure you are doing your auto flow, getting into your live flow, your conversations, tracking those. And I'd like each of you, okay, to at least do 1 8 in 8. And start that process. So the first 2 weeks, all you're doing is sending something out. But what I'd really like to see, if you could pick 5, that would be great. 1 or 2 would be just need to get you started. But again, it's a matter of, so between, the next 2 weeks, it's what's the first item you're sending out? What's the second item you're sending out? What's the third? What's the fourth? What's the fifth? Then you got your 6th, then you got your call, and then you got your meet. Okay. Do you see how this will help bring more business to you, more referrals, more top of mind recognition? And all you're doing is looking at auto flow, live flow, conversations, and now really disciplined 8 and 8. You guys do all of this, you're going to be top 1% in real estate forever. And really have fun doing it, enjoy doing it, and be very successful because of it. Okay. Time is it?
10:52.
Okay. All right. So any successes over the last week? New listing, sales? Anybody got
Sold
anything
by
to
Waterfront
share?
in Perry Sound.
All right. Oh, look at there's the referring agent. Yay.
That's right. Firm sale sold when the ice is frozen.
That is fabulous. Well done. Okay. Any new listings, listing adjustments?
Rental listing coming up next week.
Rental listing coming up. Good.
Tell them how you acquired it.
I painted, it's my friend, but I painted the basement over the holidays.
Good. Hey, again, interaction, right? Having interaction.
Jake, how's your real estate courses going? Okay. Anyways, does it count if someone?
Anita?
Yeah, Anita.
Thanks to my friends there sitting beside you, Michelle. I met or I talked to a new realtor potential this week or last week, actually, the end of last week. So he just got his real estate finished his courses and he's going to get registered. He's taking a little holiday. And yeah, so nice young gentleman spoke to him and hopefully he considers joining our company. And I explained that actually this is one of our benefits to what we do is this kind of weekly call that we get on and we get brainstorming, we get, you know, great ideas and information that we can hopefully all use. But I did explain to him it's really up to you, right? It's my business. It's up to me to do my business and what my business looks like. So yeah, it was a great thank you again. That was a great like little referral there for a new realtor.
Great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it count if the people I talk to me because they want to be a realtor?
Conversations. Who knows? You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. And like, I think that's great because one of the calls I have today, I met her once. We had talked about work and stuff. She's very bubbly, very conversational. And she DM'd me just because she's starting to think about getting into real estate. But that's cool that, you know, she reached out to me instead of someone else.
Again, it's being out there, right? Being out there so people see you're approachable. You're receptive to conversations. You're receptive to communication.
And actually, this person, when I met them, that was one of the nights where I was like trying to practice my forward questions. So there you go.
Very good. Okay. So task again, just track your conversations. Okay. Make sure you're implementing your auto flow. And a new task, 8 and 8. Take that challenge on. I'd love to hear how it went and the responses. And obviously, this is going to be 8 and 8 is over an 8-week period, so it's more of an ongoing. It's that just getting it started, right?
And continuing to track the numbers of conversations.
Yeah, that's the important part. Okay. Anything else before we sign off? Nope, we're all good. Okay. Well, it's still winter, but spring conversations in the realtor community have started. We were up at the ski club on the weekend, and it's amazing how many conversations where people aren't thinking about right now. They're going how cold it is and stuff, but they're thinking, you know what? Once it gets a little warmer, we need to talk further. We're looking at doing something. So those conversations. So what does that tell me? Consumers are in flow. Make sure you're there. Okay. All right, everybody. All the best. Good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. All right. Bye.